This benefit could be huge for you because it pretty much doubles the amount of benefit money that you could get. Hey everyone, it's Russell Matthews and I'm back with another Canada benefit update. We've covered the CERB, the Canada Emergency Response Benefit. We've covered the CRB, Canada Recovery Benefit. We've covered the CRCB, Canada Recovery Caregiver Benefit. And we've covered the CRSB, the Canada Recovery Sickness Benefit. But did you know there's actually another program that could directly affect you and your community? Less than 24 hours ago, there was a live stream from the Canadian government where Prime Minister Justin Trudeau talked about this new program that they were unveiling. But some of you, depending on what you do and what business you're in, will actually be able to apply for some of these benefits. And even more importantly, it could help those of you who are out of work get a job coming soon. So in today's video, we're going to do a deep dive into this to find out how it can affect you going forward into the future. But before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, hey, how's it going? It's nice to meet you. My name's Russell and I've been posting videos about investing, business, personal finance, a little bit of real estate, and news that could affect Canadians drastically. The overall goal of the channel is to bring high quality information to people like you so that you can set yourselves up to live a more stable and prosperous future. If that sounds interesting to you, or you just want to stay up to date about every single benefit that could be coming down the pipeline for Canadians, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. I've been bringing new videos every single day, so if anything changes, you're going to hear about how it affects you here on this channel first. So make sure to hit those buttons. And while you're at it, hit that like button because it's shown that just one click of the like button could spread this video to hundreds more people who could be really looking for the information. But with that said, let's take a look at what this new announcement was from last night and how it could affect you. This new benefit is called the CERS, or the Canada Emergency Rent Subsidy. But before you get too excited about it, this subsidy is for businesses. I know this will be a disappointment to a lot of people who would have been looking for some sort of rent subsidies for their own personal living situation, but I guess the Canadian government thinks that that's what the CRB is for. Despite the fact that some individual Canadians can't apply for this benefit, you're going to want to stay tuned because this could hugely impact your future when it comes to getting a job going forward when these benefits end. Like I said in a previous video, the Canadian job market is not looking so good, and it's getting harder and harder to get a job, as many of you probably have experienced. When we get into the details of this new benefit, you're going to see how this is going to dramatically affect you when you're applying for a job, as well as the businesses that are in and around your communities. We all have our favorite restaurants, our favorite takeout places, and our favorite small businesses that we like to support and that make our communities vibrant. So let's find out what the government's doing to keep these things alive. To break down the information, we're going to look at a news story that was posted last night by Global Canada. The video is sort of a surface level of these new benefits, so along the way we're going to pause it and talk about what that really means for you. Let's go take a look.
There is a new federal rent relief program for small businesses in this country, a replacement for the one that got lots of complaints. The biggest change, business owners can apply directly and don't have to go through landlords. David Aiken breaks down how it works and who is eligible.
Alrighty, that's a huge improvement. Oh, and right here I see this is the Rex. Okay. Before I transitioned to my career in real estate a few years ago, I used to be a professional musician in Toronto, and I would often play at the Rex, which is the biggest jazz and blues bar in Toronto. Cool to see that they got featured in this little bit of the story. With the old commercial rent subsidy, it used to be the landlords that had to apply for the subsidy instead of the actual businesses. And as we all know, sometimes the priorities of landlords and tenants can kind of be at odds. Now there's a huge discussion going on right now around landlords and tenants, and there's a lot of interesting takes that people have been giving, but that's for another video. But I know there were situations where landlords didn't want to apply for the subsidy, even though the businesses that were inside of their units really needed it. So this is a welcome change because now the businesses can apply on their own instead of having to go through their landlord, who may not be the most responsive, in order to get the benefit that they need for their business.
The difficult reality is that the health measures we are taking to contain COVID-19 mean there are some businesses that simply cannot operate at full capacity.
It will be local health authorities that will order some businesses to close to try to flatten Canada's COVID-19 curve. But it will be the federal government backstopping those businesses that get flattened by those closures.
Okay, so that's a change. It's kind of interesting that it's the federal government who's going to be fronting the bill for all of these businesses. That could be sort of controversial in some areas. For example, in the maritime provinces out east, they don't see as many cases as we do in Ontario, where I live, and many other parts of the country. But it will still be their tax dollars paying for the rest of the country's problems. This is why it's kind of interesting when the federal government, like Justin Trudeau and the Liberals, send out money to the entire country for problems that are more local. It might be necessary, but is that really fair for the people in less affected areas to be paying for the more effective areas? I don't know. It's something to think about.
We know this second wave will be even harder for those who get hit.
So the federal government announced an improved suite of business support programs Friday, chief among them the new Canada Emergency Rent Subsidy. Unlike the previous rent subsidy program, this one will see money go directly to commercial tenants, not landlords. Businesses who have seen revenues drop by 75% can get a subsidy of up to 65%. And those businesses that are ordered to close by health officials, they can get a 90% subsidy of rent and other expenses.
Okay. This is the CERS benefit, or CERS. By giving businesses the money that they need for rent to stay open during all of this, I think that the main goal of the federal government is to keep more jobs available for Canadians. This is the most direct way that things could affect you. If you work for a small business, you've probably heard a lot of talk about these sort of problems that are affecting your industry. I've heard from so many Canadians down in the comments box who are talking about how they're working at a small business and they're just making enough money to be able to qualify for CERB or CRB or any benefit while making that money, and they can kind of use the benefits to subsidize the small amount of work they're getting. But when businesses lose money and can't afford to pay their rent, those people who are working won't be able to make that additional money that they're using to supplement their benefits. Not only that, but if these businesses shut down, more and more Canadians will have to apply for the benefits like the CRB, the CRSB, and the CRCB. Like I said before, being on these benefits is actually a worst case scenario, even though it might not feel like it while you're trying to qualify for them. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you'll know that these benefits only last for about a 6-month period of time. If you claim all of those benefits right up front in the first 6 months, I know for a fact that there won't be any benefits for you for the following 6 months. That's because these benefits span for the next year, September to September. But if you run out at any point in there, they're not going to put in new legislation because they'll already have these benefits that are in place and are supposed to cover from September to September. And even in September of 2021, if the job market has gone in the can, then it could be pretty difficult to get a job even when these benefits aren't coming to you. That's why I say if you have a job, hold on to it tightly, because you never know where the economy and the overall world is going to go in the next 12 months. I'm glad the Canadian government is putting in stuff like this to keep businesses open, to try to make it so that people will have a place to go when their benefits run out. This is the main reason you should be keeping your eyes on this as a Canadian citizen, is because if you're on a benefit right now, you've got to be looking forward into the future and wondering, what am I going to do when these run out? Because money isn't infinite, and it's going to run out eventually. So you've got to be thinking about it.
The Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy continues until next June. This one gives employers up to 65% of the wages that they're paying employees. And
so that's another aspect of it with the wage subsidy that will keep businesses open and affect you because of the job market.
Canada Emergency Business Account is expanded. Businesses can now get an additional interest-free loan of $20,000, and for some, $10,000 of that will be forgiven.
That's the biggest thing for many of you who are self-employed. The CEBA, or the Canada Emergency Business Account, is important for self-employed people who might work from home. Not all businesses have commercial spaces and have employees, but there are so many small businesses who are left in the lurch right now, so this is the benefit for you. If you have a friend who has a small business where they're just all alone working from their house to try to make it happen, they could potentially apply for this, so send this video their way so they know what is available to them. This Canada Emergency Business Account is a loan that you can apply for $20,000. But normally the bad part of a loan is that you have to pay interest on it. This is a 0% interest loan. This means you essentially get to keep all of the money, use it to support your business, and when you can pay it back, and there's pretty much no penalty for this. Plus, they say that $10,000 can be forgiven. This means that if you meet a certain set of criteria, you might need to only pay back $10,000 of the $20,000 loan. This is huge because it's an additional $10,000 that you could be using using to support your small business. You'll remember the entirety of the CRB is $11,700. If you're self-employed working by yourself, this benefit could be huge for you because it pretty much doubles the amount of benefit money that you could get. And in my eyes, this benefit has not been talked about nearly as much as it should be based on how much of an effect it can have on individual Canadians. Like I said, it's like a second CRB. So if you're in this situation, I hope this information helps you because it could be a game changer.
$10,000 of that will be forgiven.
For a number of businesses, depending on where you're located in the country, we're in a second wave. Depending on what sector you're on, restrictions may have already been placed or they're starting tomorrow morning.
And one final update on support for individual Canadians. The new simplified employment insurance system is in place.
Check.
And the government's new benefit programs to help those forced to take sick leave or needing time off to be caregivers to children are also up and running. Next week, applications will open for the Canada Recovery Benefit. That's a replacement for the CERB for those, like the self-employed, who do not qualify for EI.
Exactly. That's an important bit. They don't say it here, but you can apply come October 12th. That's Thanksgiving Monday in Canada. If you want to find out more about what qualifies you for CRB, this benefit that you're going to be able to apply for in just a couple of days, check out this video right up here where I talk about every single question you could have and how you can apply and how you can become eligible. But that's it for that video, and I think this new program could be pretty beneficial to Canadians. Not only does it keep the restaurants, the takeout places, the small businesses in your area that keep the community vibrant, not only does it keep these open, but it keeps jobs on the table for Canadians who need them. One of my top concerns for people who are going on this benefit is that come the end of the benefit, they might be in a pretty rough place. So I'm a huge proponent of keeping these jobs on the table. But what could even more dramatically affect Canadians, and especially those who have their own small businesses, maybe working out of the house where they're not going to get wage subsidy, they're not going to get rent subsidy, they could potentially get that small business loan of $20,000 where potentially $10,000 of it you don't need to pay back. Not enough people are talking about it, so if you have a friend who runs any sort of business that you think could apply for this, send them this video because it's so important that they know that this could be available to them. But I'm more so interested in your opinion of all this. Do you think that Canadians everywhere who are paying tax dollars to the federal government should be paying for the areas that are most hit by COVID, potentially due to the irresponsibility of those governments and those citizens? I think that could frustrate a lot of people who are trying their best not to spread the virus, and now they're paying for people and bars in downtown Toronto who were not really thinking about it. And I know, I'm not talking about every single bar and every single person in Toronto. It's just an example. Come on, guys. But what do you think? Are you okay giving your money to these businesses, or do you think that it would be better spent somewhere else? Let me know down in the comments. And if you found any information in this video useful, make sure to hit that like button. There could be a person out there who has a small business and has no idea that these benefits are available to them. When you click the like button, it increases the chances that when they log on to YouTube, they'll see this video that could potentially be a $10,000 windfall for them. And of course, if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, because there's no telling when a benefit that could dramatically affect you is going to come down the pipeline. I'm bringing new videos every single day with any updates that could be substantial to you. If there's any news or anything that changes, you're going to hear about it here first because I'm posting every day. But that's it for me today. I hope you found this video as helpful as possible, and I'll see you next time.